Welcome to the MMA Roadshow, episode number 571. My name is John Morgan, and Cold Coffee is with me. And Cold Coffee, so much to talk about. It's been a while since I've seen you, by the way. First off, hope you had a fantastic little work vacation / trip getaway. You know, you're making this Colorado round trip from time to time now.
Let's go.
Hope you enjoyed that. So I feel like there's a lot to talk about because there's so much going on. We got UFC 326. We're going to get through that. Zuffa boxing and fighter pay is getting into discussion. That's getting real interesting. Got to talk some White House because there's some things happening in the world that are
yes.
But I'm on the way over here. I'm getting excited to come over here to the esteemed grounds over here and as I'm rolling up to the guard gate and pulling out my ID, I would think they'd know me by now, but still
I gotta keep them. They gotta stay strict.
I let them know. I say, I understand you're just doing your job, sir.
Shit's crazy right now.
Please put the gun away. I'm fine. You know me. You recognize my vehicle. But as I'm doing that, I'm scrolling Twitter a little bit. And what do I see? But welcome to the team, UFC heavyweight champ, Aspinall MMA. Time to get what's yours from Eddie Hearn and the Matchroom Talent Agency. How do you not start with all that despite everything that's going on right now in the world of MMA and the world at large? How do you not start right there? That was a bombshell of an announcement that I was not expecting. And I told you recently, I was like, I think this Dana White and Eddie Hearn thing is going to heat up a little bit. I think this is going to be fun. I think this is going to give us some stories over the next couple years. I foresaw all of that. I could see the rivalry was starting to bud a little bit. I could see these two strong personalities were going to be going back and forth. They were going to give us little quotes, and this was going to be fun. I did not see that they would be signing the UFC heavyweight champ to talent representation. Wow. Well,
I guess just even right there, you say it, talent representation. This is a manager role, so it's not, before anybody jumps on, it's not like he's signing to fight a boxing fight.
Good.
He's taking Eddie Hearn on as a manager or to help control his business.
Correct. Clarity needed there, yes. Right away. Because I think you're right. I think some people jump to a conclusion like, oh my gosh, he's leaving the UFC and going to box. No.
No, he's not doing that. But, I guess the odd thing about that is because everybody's going to immediately think, and I initially think, well, wow, that next negotiation of contracts is going to be very, very interesting having Eddie. But the main thing is, I guess when I think about it myself, is that contracts are already signed.
True.
He's already pending. It's not like, hey, I have a new manager, all of a sudden I have a new contract.
Right.
But who knows what with Eddie and his connections, maybe there's loopholes. Maybe there's things to say, okay, well, maybe you haven't met things. If anything, he could have his team fine-tooth go through the contract, what exists, what possibilities, where's the UFC lacking, can we get you released? If you want to get released, can we get you to do whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it is kind of interesting, you take one of my guys, I'm going to take one of your guys. I will tell you this, though, in terms of where, in my opinion, where Tom Aspinall is right now and kind of where this weird limbo that he seems to be in, taking him as a manager role as opposed to signing one of your biggest stars that you've cultivated in Conor Benn, I still kind of lean on the way that Zuffa boxing kind of got the bigger pickup.
Yes.
Now, granted, it's a one-fight deal, but it's changing a lot of things, and it's making a lot of UFC fighters pay attention to what's going on with the pay, all this other stuff. The fact that people are kind of look, wait, paychecks like that are doable, and that brings a lot of things into mind too, of how Dana wants to kind of broach that sort of thing when people start saying, well, hey, if you can get money for this guy, why can't you get money for other stuff and do all the other kind of stuff? But this is huge. It is big in the sense of you have the active heavyweight champ signing with a guy that is visibly in a sort of war of words with the UFC president, But so it's interesting. It's definitely, I mean, Dana would probably say, just to be cheeky, I hope he gets his money worth, like, good. He wants to get this guy and he's going to get him some money, whatever. But that usually means he's getting money from the company that the guy fights for, and that just happens to be Dana's thing. But I think Dana and them, they're probably going to laugh. Like, I hope he finds you happy money or whatever. If anything, this might piss Dana off enough to finally say, fine, you want released? Here you go.
Okay,
good luck.
Now you're getting into it, right? Because let's look, on the surface. First of all, I mean, Eddie Hearn is sharp, right? He's good promoter. He's well spoken. So from just the perspective of, like, I feel like Tom's kind of fumbled a little bit some of the messaging
Yep.
and stuff through this layoff.
Yep.
So now to have Eddie as the mouthpiece and out there kind of, hey,
Yep.
let me explain what's going on. I think that's really good. I think that's a positive, right?
Yep.
I think it's a real positive. Obviously, in terms of knowing the business, knowing the fight business, knowing what to ask for, how much your value is worth, all those things. Like, I believe Eddie will add enough income to Tom's total income that he pays for himself, right? Like if you're hiring a manager and that manager is obviously going to take a percentage,
Yep.
and they're not generating you more revenue, then you've actually
Sponsorship
lost
deals, all
right?
that kind
You've
of
actually
stuff.
lost
Yep.
money.
Yep.
I don't think that's going to be the case. So from a financial perspective, I think this is good. From a marketing type, messaging perspective, I think it's great as well. 'Cause I think Eddie will handle all that. But
Yeah.
it's going to be tense. And you're right.
Yep.
They don't have to go negotiate right now. There's already a contract. They
Yep.
could go in there and they say, like you said, they could find, hey, man, we think you've failed to deliver here, so we need to
Yep.
renegotiate or we need
Like
to void this contract.
Like Connor was trying to say.
Right, that's right,
Yep.
because it has a pay-per-view clause. This is
Yep.
now null
Yep.
and void. Like,
Yep.
well, no, not exactly, but yeah, so they can do all that. It's just it's going to be a
Yep.
little bit contentious, and that part scares me a little bit for Tom. So while I see
For
the
Tom.
positives, I
Yep.
see the negatives for Tom as well, because I don't want to see Tom get stuck as just like a pawn in this battle, right? To exactly what you said.
Yep.
You like this guy, you know that this guy's my enemy. You decide to side with my enemy. Well, guess what? You're my enemy now. So you
Yep.
know what? Take your heavyweight title. Don't care. Bye. We're going to
Yep.
do John Jones versus Alex Pereira for the undisputed title. How about that? You know
Yep.
what I mean? And so that scares me a little bit, that like a relationship that already wasn't that good, this isn't going to help at all. So
Yep.
I'm a little bit torn right now. I see the pros, but I see some real cons as well, man.
Yeah, I mean, I have to think about maybe the potential other future earnings or monies off to the side or something, because I think with Tom either feels that the UFC's kind of turned their back on him, and maybe has felt that, like, well, I'm not getting the support that I thought I would get as a heavyweight champ. I don't feel like they want the best for me. I don't feel like when I say I've been hurt and I need to recover, that they're taking me on face value.
Yep.
They think that they're whatever,
And
or they're looking beyond. They're not giving me the time to heal.
And I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right?
Like some of the
Yeah.
messaging from the UFC has been a little bit like, ooh, that's not your guy.
Yeah, when you've heard of all the stuff, I mean, granted, John Jones went and did a lot of really amazing things for the UFC, but the support and what Dana went so far as, I mean, like, every press conference become like a joke. Who's the baddest man around? Who's the best fighter? Whatever. John Jones. I can't take the belt away from John Jones. I can't do that. It's John Jones. Blah
Right.
blah blah. You would think that you want the guy that's the president, the voice piece of the company, supporting their fighters and their champions, and it feels like from day one, maybe day two, maybe there was the initial, we want the best for Tom, it was a serious injury, that kind of quickly dropped off.
Yep.
And then immediately you didn't feel like the words of support, and kind of just felt. And it could have been that Tom's team wasn't giving them enough info to keep them in the loop, and there was some weird communications, and I think where a lot of people felt like they dropped the ball, that maybe soured things a little bit and kind of pushed us into where we are today. But at the end of the day, if this is going to, facilitate Tom either getting released from his contract or doing something, there's the potential he's going to get something. So I feel he's either. I don't think he did this just because Eddie approached him and was like, "Hey, man, I got an idea.
Right.
I want to get back at Dana. Can you want to do this?" I think this was the thing happened at a time when Tom was probably either very open to it. Tom might have reached out himself, or his team might have reached out, and was at probably his wit's end too, like of wondering what's best for my future career.
Yeah.
I have the potential of getting a UFC fight when I'm ready, when the potential matches where I'm there, if my health is good. But if not, and there's the potential, to, think about what's next, where my fighting's going to go, and I don't feel like the UFC supported me, it makes a lot of sense. But it's just interesting for the time. And it just happens to be at a point where, this thing that happened with Dana and Eddie with the war of words, and then the signing of Connor got more and more, and maybe it just catapulted this whole sort of thing, and now it seems bigger. Maybe it was already in the works, maybe it was just weird coincidence, but it's certainly interesting, the timing of it. But I feel that for this to happen, Tom had to be knowing that this is going to cause some ruffles with the UFC brass, and I think to do it, I think he's comfortable with the ramifications, where I don't think he would have did it.
Yeah, you'd be awfully naive to enter a relationship like this and not
Yes.
think that it was going to ruffle some feathers.
Right.
And I don't think Tom is a naive guy. Like,
Right.
I get it. It's really interesting, too, because Tom obviously before he got into MMA, he was doing some boxing and that sort of thing, and that was a considerate path as well. And it is weird when you think about it. Like, if he wants to, and I've said this, and I've always said this, if you listen to the show or just listen to me for any length of time, I've said this. To me, if you want to be considered the best in the world, if it is important to your, I don't want to say ego, your self-worth, your sense of accomplishment or whatever, to be able to say, I am unequivocally, like unquestionably, I am the best in the world. I think you have to be in the UFC to do it. Just because you need that. You need to be able to beat multiple levels of competition. And while there are great athletes outside of the UFC, there are people outside of the UFC that could be a UFC champion, but you just don't have depth of rosters where you're beating top talent over and over. So I think you have to be in the UFC. But if you could actually make, like, let's say, like, he can make some kind of boxing match where he makes $30 million. Pulls a Francis Ngannou, like. Then does it matter if you're the best in the world or not? You know what I mean? If you go get that Francis Ngannou money, get that bag, and it's one match, and maybe you lose, maybe you show yourself well, whatever, but you put all that money in the bank, can you live with that and just be like, well, I can't call myself the best in the world, but I can call myself rich?
Yeah. And I mean, and if his eye is at the point where it's good, it's like with Bisping compromised, and it's going to always be compromised. It's certainly, and you want to compete and you feel you're able to compete, it's certainly better, I would think, competing in boxing than MMA. Like, I think just there's more weapons that you have to worry about in MMA, and let alone, while you're covering up your head and you're covering your eyes, you got to worry about a takedown. Boxing, you don't have to worry about that stuff. You cover up your eyes. You're guarding from two weapons only.
I'm watching those two things.
I'm watching those two things, and I can do that with one eye. I'm not having to watch his kick.
You're not going to have a high kick sneak out from over here, like you said, changing levels, that sort of thing.
And for that big one fight, even if it's the very first fight, if he doesn't fight MMA ever again in the UFC and he's released, that very first fight, he's still – and when they sell that fight, he's still the champ. They never took the belt.
Exactly.
He's going to get a bank for whatever that fight is. If Eddie, and especially with Eddie Hearn, he's not doing it with some upstart promotion. He's going to the guy that's literally like, Dana, sit back and watch these next fights. Watch the spectacle. He could put him on one of those cards, line up a bag, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's
Done.
it.
Done. Thanks. I'm out.
It's crazy. So, I mean, I get it. And I think he's probably good with that. I think he wants to fight again if it makes sense, if it's the right fight, and if his eye is legit good. But if his eye is to the point where I have to start thinking about my future because I don't think it's ever going to be back fully to where I want it to be to fight MMA, this is the logical step. And now he needs to lobby for the release and get that bag.
Man, it's going to
be.
It's going to be interesting.
I mean, he's a nice guy. We've talked with him plenty of times over the years, and he's never done anything where I wouldn't want him to, like, get his money. And I'd love to see him fight. And I'd like to see him fight boxing, or I'd like to see him in MMA. I certainly wouldn't be sad if he was like, if they say, okay, the UFC released him, and they're like, well, you get a chance to watch him, but it's going to be in boxing. Is that okay? Yes. And you'd want anybody to get their bag, and you want him to do great things. Tom's never held himself in a way that's like you wouldn't want him to make as much money.
Bro, he's such a good dude.
And if he has the potential to make that in boxing, go for it.
Yep.
Do your thing. Push for your release and go.
Yeah, I feel like we missed something out of his career because I do think he's still great as a mixed martial artist, but how can you like look down upon somebody for going and looking for themselves and making the best money they can, you know what I mean? So it's like and again, this doesn't signal the end. It doesn't. I mean, the UFC could very much be like, hey, you're not getting out of this contract. They could dig their heels in, and and we don't even know that he's going to ask for that. But these are the possibilities that seem to be opened up. So
maybe get a very high-paying exhibition match. Could he do an exhibition bout?
You can't. You got to get the UFC to sign off on it.
You still got to get
sign off on to take place in any kind of combat sports competition.
All right, I'm gonna do it for charity, but give it to my mom's charity here and her. $30 million.
I mean, listen. Well,
I think there's enough point where lawyers get involved with it if they feel they can prove that the UFC hasn't done their job to give him what he needs to meet their needs on the contract. They can dissolve. No contract is forever. Ever.
You could get caught up in legal battles too. Let's think all the way back to Randy Couture.
Years.
Exactly. Where you're like, man, I'm giving up time. Like I'm just gonna do this so I can make some money. I don't want to give up money. So it's gonna be so. As always, we're taping on a Thursday. I should say as always. Last week we taped on a Tuesday, but as usual on a Thursday, there is a press conference tonight. I'm sure this will be brought up at the press conference. There's no way a room full of media does not bring this up. Is your prediction that Dana White takes the chance to go ahead and fire a salvo back, or does Dana say, guys, I'm here to talk about UFC 326 right now. We'll address this later?
I think he'll talk. I think the bulk of it will be about that, but I think he'll say a little
He can't help
something
himself,
about
right?
it. I
Guys,
can't help
promote.
himself.
I'm here to promote today's fights.
Yeah.
But that son of a bitch now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've tossed up. I mean, granted, even like Oscar and some of the ones where he tries to not say anything, he's like, you just can't not say that, guys. You guys know you're fucking putting it out in front of me. I think with the way that Hearn's got, I think he'll have some choice words for Eddie. Maybe he'll put more towards Eddie as opposed to Tom. And maybe, go that particular route, like,
Took advantage of my guy.
Or just like, you're just, not only was it like beating up babies, now I'm showing you how to do your job. Now you're trying to pick my dudes. I already got your best, or whatever. Now he might find some sort of way, but I'd imagine, he's going to try to keep it on point.
I think he'll keep I think it'll be a short jab today, and then post-fight he'll open up a little bit. Because, again, and this is why we always talk about it, the time and place to ask questions.
Yeah.
Like, you can ask whatever you want at the press conference. There's no reason somebody shouldn't ask something. They're there, and they're credentialed media. They can. You're just not going to get the best answer because at the end of the day, these press conferences, they're to promote that weekend's event. That's it. They don't want to get into other stuff. Now, post-fight, that's when you can get into more stuff.
And it's his presser.
Yeah.
And the post-fight. It's Dana White's post-fight press conference talking about the event. This is for the event.
I got these 10 guys up here.
Yeah, I think it is 10.
Is it 10 the main card?
I think it's the main card. I think it's 5. I think it is 10 people. Or maybe 8 or 10. But yeah, it's a lot. So there's a lot of stuff for us to keep having Dana get into Dana answers, which can go very long-winded on a press conference that they ultimately want to get those fighters in and out because a lot of them are still cutting weight.
Cutting weight. Night before weigh-in.
Yeah, this is hard. This is hard. This is for the fans and do whatever. And I think Dana would probably say something like, the fans are here to see this, guys. Let's keep the questions about what's in front of you or something.
I'll tell you this, though, and me as, obviously I am a UFC fan. I'm an MMA fan, but I've been around the sport, been around the company for a long time. I will say, I think Dana having a rival is a good thing for the UFC and a good thing for the sport because, you've heard a lot of the criticisms of like, these announcements seem a little lackluster and these aren't as exciting. And I always think like that's kind of a weird thing. Like I just care that the fight's happening. I don't care exactly how it's announced, but okay, I get it. But it is true. I mean, like, you can see right now when Dana is doing an interview on boxing, he perks up, man. They kind of get that old Dana, right? Because he's energized. He's doing something.
Yeah.
In UFC, I mean, the game's already won.
Yeah.
And he's got people running in place. And so it's like, I don't have to worry so much. But when he's really trying to accomplish something, he's all in on that. He does get more excited. There's no doubt. He can't.
Yeah.
There's only so much energy and so much time in a day, right? So it's like, but I think if this forces him to be a little bit more engaged, I think that's good for all of us, man. I think it's a good thing.
And it's funny because you say that term, and I didn't really think about it right then, but I guess now it does kind of fit. Before, when you had little beefs with Aram and Oscar, it didn't feel like rivals because they weren't in boxing yet. They weren't really whatever. But it does kind of feel like this is starting to get into a rival territory. We're in the same industry now. Now we're starting to poach each other's fighters, even though Dana's really the only one that's poached a fighter, and it's only a one-time deal. And the fighter's still like, I'll be back. I hope to do more business with you. You know, so is that really a poaching, or is it just a one-time little whatever deal? And that's the unique thing, I guess, about some of these boxing contracts is that you're not locked into these deals. And that's what a lot of these guys are saying, like, this is what we're telling you, folks. This is what we've been talking about. You can go where you want to do. You're doing little things. So, but you're right. It does feel like this is the beginnings of what could be a rivalry where there's actual heat and there's actually ramifications.
Yes. And there you go, the ramifications. Because I used to, other than when Oscar De La Hoya did do a Golden Boy MMA event, okay, that's fair game now. What do we, or like when Bob Arum would take a shot at the UFC and somebody would ask, hey, what do you think about Bob Arum saying this? That I would get. But sometimes when they would, let's be honest, people bait him all the time. You said it. He can't help it. They'd ask him an Arum question. They'd ask him an Oscar De La Hoya question. I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, we're just trying to get a headline. Like, it's irrelevant to the business. It's, you know what I mean? What are we doing? Now it's relevant to the business. You know what I mean? So I think we're going to get some entertainment out of this for a while. So, you talked about the pay that's being given in the $15 million offer that was given, and the UFC fighters kind of being taken aback by it. That's one, too, that I don't know how UFC didn't realize that was going to be a problem. Like,
Yep.
when you were, I mean, I know they want to grow this thing as big as they can, but
Yep.
and it's two different models and two different sports and all those things. And again, it's important to say too that money came from Saudi Arabia, right?
And I think that's the difference right there, is because in all the other things, and even the way that they promoted, when we've seen these big boxing fights recently, it's been Riyadh season, it's been this.
Mm-hmm.
This is getting tucked under the Zuffa boxing banner. Even though we know where the money's coming from, people see the Zuffa, they don't see the Riyadh season, they don't see this, and they're like,
No.
oh wait, so this is your money, you're making it. Well, yes, but this is from this guy, this is from this side,
Such
this
a
is not
weird
whatever.
setup.
So it's such a crazy, weird setup, because now the people are like, well, it's coming from your banner, so we assume that you have access to this pool of money anytime you want. And with this boxing, it's kind of a little bit different. We don't really know what the full deal is. It doesn't. You would think that, hey, if we can pull this right now, we have access to this kind of capital at any time. But I think it's probably a matter of, if it wasn't for Turkey's involvement and whatnot, and be able to say, yes, we have this, grab these big guys, that made this even possible. But if the UFC doesn't come out and really say that sort of stuff, and really sort of say this is in conjunction with, Riyadh season or blah, 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 people assume that you have access to this money.
And so, pay it to everybody.
So you could pay it to everybody, spread it out. So I think that's where the part where people are just like, okay, wait, so you can do the shit that you said you haven't been able to do, so make it happen. So, I mean, it's worth discussion, but I think the UFC probably, but that's the thing. Like, nobody wants to say, we're helping getting funded by this. Everybody wants to take the credit. We built this. Look what we're doing.
Yep.
But of course, we have these partnerships over here. Same thing with, like, we talked earlier about Paramount. Where are they getting this money for all this stuff? And then now they were able to now take over that bid that was going for the Warner Brothers.
Crazy.
And the biggest thing I want to bring up about that, because a lot of people, when you talk about, and don't let me get too sidetracked, I'll fucking stop real quick. But when you have these, when Ellison, or I believe it's Ellison, whatever, the guy that's really the guy that's behind Paramount,
right.
I forget what the company is, whatever, but a lot of their money is funded.
Larry Ellison's name, and Oracle is the company.
But there's also the other funding company that is supposedly the one, I think, that paid the money for Paramount or whatever. There's another term or whatever. But I think a lot of their money for that particular Paramount bid was from overseas. So if you have this guy and I don't want to get put off all the political people, whatever. This guy is closely tied.
You're talking about Skydance Media.
Skydance.
Yeah.
So this is a play as well, because not just Warner Brothers, you're taking over CNN. So you have a conservative billionaire that's tied closely with Trump and them, which is Fox News people, now is making a bid to take over the other major news outlet that is against the conservative. And people talking about Netflix and whatever, they could literally go in, if this goes through, and wipe out half of the CNN staff that has been critical of the Trump administration, and literally make it almost two Fox Newses. So there's something huge going on, even outside of whatever, and nobody's talking about it. I'm like, why aren't people talking about how crazy this is? But that's what a lot of people are worried about, when you have these crazy people and so much money can go in and actually take over and change the mass media, the media that people are seeing. If you have the same voice everywhere, people start thinking that is the only voice, and then you start shaping it, and that's how crazy shit happens in the world. So yeah, I know I wasn't going to try to get political, but I've been waiting for a point to say, why aren't people making a big deal about this bid? Because this bid literally is not just Warner Brothers Studio and the other stuff. They have a huge portfolio of stuff that is going to change, that could possibly change the landscape in our country for how we get a lot of things.
Voice of reason.
It's a scary time, but again, the money behind these things is crazy, because a lot of time people don't know where the money comes for these things. So while Dana's able to put this fight, and a lot of fighters are like, "Wow, will Zuffa get the money?" Nobody's really just saying the money's coming from outside sources, because then people really would want to track down where these sources are and what are the intentions or whatever. But maybe in this instance, if Dana and them were more clear, saying like, yes, we're able to put this big major thing, but this is due to part to the the partnership that we have with blah blah blah. This is not just me going into the the Zuffa bank account and making this happen.
Well, I don't think a lot of people realize that basically Saudi Arabia is funding all of Zuffa boxing. And as they hit certain deliverables, they start getting a percentage of the company back, basically.
Which is crazy.
It's a beautiful setup. It's a
great
financially.
For them. Yes.
It's a beautiful setup. Like, it's the smartest business deal I've ever heard. Like, we're going to start this new company, but we're not paying for any of it.
Yeah,
you pay for it, and if it works, then I'll take the company. If it doesn't work,
we just stop.
Isn't that the craziest business deal ever?
Everybody would go into business if that was the thing. If you have no risk, and it's all reward.
Hey, bank, can I get this? Will you loan me this money? And I got here's what I want to lay out for you. I got an idea. You loan me the money, and if this thing works, you give me some of the company.
Yep.
If it doesn't work, well, you're just out your mone, but we tried. And we had fun.
And we had fun. Bro, that's like...
Dude.
It's literally like when people think of how do you launder money in a certain way? This is how you do it. Not saying that that's what's happening, but this is what it sounds like.
So crazy. All right, two things. Like I said, I don't like talking politics on the show because I just admit that I'm not educated in it. That's the reason.
And I'm sure I butchered it as well. I couldn't even fucking think of the company names, but still.
But there are two things that do have political ties that are on the MMA radar. I mean, obviously the White House card.
Yeah.
Look, Again, we're supposed to get announcements of the White House card this week, which that's great. Everybody's been wondering what the card's going to be. That's awesome.
Like that's probably what we're going to have
Saturday
today.
Night, right?
Or tonight.
It's tonight?
There's always the possibility.
At the press conference?
It's either tonight or Saturday.
I would think they'd want to do it on the broadcast,
but if the
right?
fight sucks, or think if the fights suck on Saturday and Dana's pissed off, he might just say, I'm not saying anything.
I think it happens during that CBS simulcast.
Oh, you think?
That's what I think. You know what I mean? Because there's
so an on broadcast.
Because remember, they're doing a 2-hour simulcast where it's like the final hour of the prelims and the first hour of the main card are also going to be on CBS. My guess
that
is
makes a lot of sense because then they could actually have nice graphical packages and stuff rather than just having Dana sitting up there and say, "Hey guys, we got whatever," and play that video.
Did you see the interview he did where he said how secretive they're being about it to prevent any leaks? Like they're having. So I mean, you've been in the war room, you've seen the war room. It's got all the boards in there, and if you walk in there, you can't help but see it. It's everywhere in your path. You know what I mean? So if you're just an employee, whatever, not that everybody gets up to the second floor where the executives are, but anyway, he gave an interview, and I didn't know the name of the outlet. I think it was IFTV or something. I wasn't familiar with it, and that probably shows my silliness if he was talking to them. I don't know who they are, but he said that they're actually when they had the matchmaking meeting, they're rolling in a whiteboard, writing it down, kind of going through it, and then erasing it before they let it. It's literally just that room and that's it. So I thought that was
before they invite Nina and all of her people up there with their cameras.
Exactly. They actually erase it off the whiteboard. So anyway, I thought that was so anyway,
so they're getting smart about it rather than just leave that in a room that anybody could go into.
It's funny how they remember there's been fights broken because they were accidentally in the back of an interview or whatever.
They're like, "Oh yeah, we didn't think about covering that up.
I should have covered that up." And then they started doing gosh, remember when that thing was all handwritten?
Oh, yeah.
God, isn't that crazy? I don't know that's how old school we are. Can you imagine they had somebody going in there and had to handwrite all? Anyway.
Yeah, now they got the fancy little slide cards or whatever.
Slide cards.
It's going to be a graphical board eventually, but then they're like, no, there's a digital trace.
Digital LED. That's sick. That's sick. All right, so anyway, where I was going with all that is we're going to get an announcement. I know everybody's excited about the announcement. Everybody wants to see the card. Yeah. I'm sure whatever they announce, everybody will criticize and say this wasn't big enough. I thought this was going to be the biggest card ever. But whatever. I'm excited to get it. But really, with all that's going on in the world, again, I don't like getting into politics, and I won't pretend to understand all the conflict and the reasoning and who's right and who's wrong. I won't pretend to understand all that. But doesn't it make you start thinking, do we really need to have a fight on the White House lawn? I mean,
if if they're still in this phase of war, whatever level it is at that point, then then it's a full-on war at that point. Because right now it's an operation or whatever, and they're saying it's going to be done in 6 weeks. So what is that, a month and a half?
Got to get it done before the White House card.
But if we're still ongoing by that point, then you start wondering, is it then at that point it would be a crazy distraction if we're still in it, because I feel like they were well, at that point, too, midterms, I think, would have happened, or right around that time or something like that. Somewhere around there. It's half of the year, June, right? Isn't that when midterms are? It's certainly a lot of things would be going on, but it would be a distraction. But, yeah, we were talking about it before we started, taping. If there are crazy shit going on in the world, there's going to be no bigger target for people to look at than that particular event, in terms of, you wanted to smear the U.S. It's when they're celebrating the America's 250 and they're having this big crazy event on President Trump's birthday, in the White House lawn.
I mean, like, again, I don't like talking about it or whatever,
Yeah.
but realistically, if you're a foreign adversary that's thinking about, we need to attack the United States, certainly they'd have some intelligence like, bro, you're not going to believe this. They're trying to put a fight on outside on the
with
lawn.
3,000 VIPs all in one area.
I mean, wouldn't that be? I mean, and obviously, man, security is going to be insane.
Yeah.
They'll have all kinds of resources.
Yeah.
I'm just like being real.
I mean, just certainly hope that everything is done by then, because if we're in an active situation like it is right now and it's escalating, still at that point, it's going to be a much bigger by that point than
Right.
what's going on. But yeah, having a sporting event at the nation's capital might not be the best thing at that time.
and
maybe
listen,
it's the distraction we need.
And I mean, listen, like I haven't been critical of this thing. I've been like, bro, this is the coolest thing ever. Like I'm going there. Like this is amazing. This is once in a lifetime. I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah.
But now I start going like, I don't know if I want to be on the White House lawn that day.
And that's the sad truth, because I'm with you. I was like, I know a lot of people are like, why are you gonna go? Why are you gonna work this event? Why are you gonna celebrate this? I'm like, regardless of your political leanings, it's going to be the largest sporting event in the U.S. this year.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't I want to be there to represent? And my company is chomping at the bit to be there.
If my company will pay me to go cover a basketball game on the White House lawn,
I'll go cover it.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just happens to be the sport that I've spent the last 30 years in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it is one of those things that, because I think a lot of us, are like, yes, I want to be there. I want to be there. But then you start thinking like, wow, there's a lot of real life world stuff going on there right now. And it's very, very, the world is not the same. And like, it makes you wonder, like, I was saying to you, like, I got approval from my company to say, yes, your travel will be good to go when it's good to go. And then I started thinking, I'm like, well, if shit in the world's not really good, I was like, I don't know if I want to be there. I mean,
it's just honest
being
thought,
honest,
right? Just being honest. Like,
I'm
that
just
thought
getting
crossed my
old
head.
and soft and care about my life and stuff.
Yeah, but no, it's like I'm not sitting here trying to make a statement or trying to. I'm just saying, like, that thought crossed my mind too. I'm like, is this?
What's the same thing? Like, a lot of people had questions about Mexico. This is the same. It's the same thing. It's just a different scenario. A lot of people, even the UFC, contemplated whether to have the thing because there was an active, violence going on elsewhere. If stuff is popping off, I hope nothing ever makes it to the U.S. soil from what is going on over there in the Middle East. But if things start popping off in America, then is having a sporting event in the nation's capital on the 250 should be in their thoughts of like, do we really want to do this?
Yeah.
So hopefully
there's a nice arena down the street.
There's a nice arena. I mean, hopefully nothing. I want nothing to come over here. Not that I want really a lot of people dying and our troops dying over there by any means, but we're here. We're in this moment. Like the bottle's been uncorked, so hopefully, there's a quick resolution, and it's the resolution that this country needs. But at the same time, it certainly that, because you're seeing real life shit. The when you, at the end of the day, even though the fighters say they're going in there to die, it's a sporting event.
Exactly.
It's for our entertainment. There's real life stuff happening.
That was a real war. That was a real battle.
Like there's real stuff going on, and if there is some potential of whatever happening, then I will question whether I want to be there. As sad as I've been. This would probably, there's two events I know that I'm scheduled to go to this year: Rousey Carano and the White House show.
Yep.
And I'm excited to do both of them. But if things are crazy, I might be willing to pull off it, regardless of how unique this will be, just because I don't want to be in madness. I don't want to be in the target. And maybe we're just old men like thinking about, but it makes sense to think about that sort of stuff in this environment.
At the end of the day, I know they'll do everything they can to keep it safe. I mean, obviously, I'm sure if me and you were sitting right here, thinking about it, I'm sure the top security officials are thinking the same thing.
But they're also going to be taking care of those 3,000 VIPs and the people that, make sense. A lot of us media that off to the side, we're not going to be the ones that worried about.
That's like, we forgot to protect that area there. Sorry about that. Well,
so we'll see. But I mean, it's regardless, if we find out the card, I hope, because a lot of people have been anticipating this thing, whether it's going to be 6 titles, 7 titles, 8 titles. One, I think they're only going to have, 6 fights or something like that? They're not going to be 6 titles.
They're not going to be 6
But
championship
it's
fights.
interesting, and it's just funny. You've heard people saying Jones coming out and say, oh, they're having talks again. Conor hasn't dropped his stuff. You got all these people. So regardless, we said whoever was there, it's still going to be such a spectacle that there's going to be something interesting to see. I know we've been talking about the downside of the potentials, but going to the fact of this is going to be such a crazy, wacky spectacle to be able to do weigh-ins and stuff and near the national monuments and stuff.
Amazing.
Would be just such iconic viewing and something that we've seen. We've seen so much of this, so many different places. Nothing feels sort of newish.
Right.
But to legit be in a place where I was like, wow, I never thought I would see that as the backdrop.
That's pretty cool.
That is so cool and so amazing. And I would love to see that. Regardless of who's on the fight card, I could find joy in this card just for the scenery.
Agreed.
So I think even if they get good matchups and then have 1 or 2 knock it out of the park wins in terms of who they get, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
I don't need the bucket list of 6 fights of, oh my God, I cannot believe that, to make it special to watch it, because just the uniqueness of it. We said the Sphere was a one-off. We know that there's the potential they could always go back to the Sphere. Yep. And we said it before with this one. This is a legit one-off. This is not going to happen again.
Ever.
It is never going to happen again. So there is something to where, I know you don't get FOMO. I don't get FOMO on going and having to be at an event, even if it's the first time in the country. This, I would probably be like, damn,
I should have been there.
As much as we're just well, it could be a little scary. I'm like, but you still want to be there.
Once in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime,
man. That would be.
It'd be interesting to see what if you had to put just one fighter that you would like to see on the card. You don't have to even give a matchup. What fighter would you think, or would you just be like, I can't believe they got them there?
Conor McGregor.
Gotta
have that name on it.
I think Conor more so than John Jones.
I was thinking the same thing in my head, because it sounds to me like they're moving. It's, from what I've heard, the John Jones Alex Pereira. Once Alex gave up the belt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, oh gosh, and then Aspinall signed it with Eddie Hearn. But but it seems like that. But I think Conor, and the thing is, I don't know, in the non-pay-per-view era, you don't need to sell pay-per-views, because normally I'd say you'd never put Conor McGregor and John Jones on the same card. That would be stupid. But could you even get both of them? If you got both of them, holy cow!
And I think we talked about it before. Conor would just have to be good with the number. If he wants to be on that card and be a part of history, which I think there's a part of his ego that he wants to, and they can make it work, because he's not hurting for money, So unless he's done something that we don't know about, he's like, well, sorry guys, I somehow lost $1 billion. He wants to be on the card. I think his ego will want him to be on the card. And I think if they could find him a happy number, whether at 15, 20, 30 million, he of course would be that.
Yep.
Do you think they can? I think they could come up with that.
Oh yeah.
Because they don't need to do that for everybody.
Yeah,
it's just a couple of the ones, But I mean, I can easily see them paying out $100 million in salary.
It's difficult because people. I know everybody complains about fire pay, and understandably so, but people have crossed that threshold before, but it was on back end because you got pay-per-view bonuses.
Yep.
Nobody's gotten that much money guaranteed up front. So, well, hopefully we will know more this weekend, and hopefully the world will settle down a little bit, man.
I hope so.
I don't like seeing the news right now.
Yeah, it's crazy time. Crazy stuff.
One more. I said I don't like to talk politics, and I don't. But one more political tie that you have to mention. It's crazy. It actually just happened right before we started recording as well. A change in the leadership of the Department of Homeland Security. But the person that is leading it now is Mark Wayne Mullen. And if you're hardcore MMA news following, you may recognize that name. Mark Wayne Mullen is from Oklahoma, but he was actually an undefeated professional fighter. He has a Tapology record. I think his Tapology record has him at 3-0. I think he bills himself as 5-0, so maybe he had some on track. But he did have professional MMA experience, and he was actually the one, if you remember a few years back, they tried to introduce a bill that would bring MMA fighters under the guise of the Ali Act as well. All those same policies that apply to boxers would apply to mixed martial artists as well. And, it didn't go through. And I don't know, if his passion will still, remain with that bill now that he's with the Department of Homeland Security. But kind of interesting to see there.
He's fought, Tapology has 3-0. 2 of those fights against the same guy who against Clinton Bonds. and Mark Wayne was 1-0 after that fight. Clinton Bonds was 1-8 after that fight. And then for his second win over the same guy, and put that poor bastard to 1-9. So, yeah, and it's funny that his Tapology picture is him there. What looks like he's in Congress or.
I haven't looked at that. I got to pull it up. I haven't looked at that in years.
Funny.
Oh yeah, they got that's funny. I have not checked out this in years. When he first came through, I looked at it. I didn't realize that it was the same guy that 1-8 and 1-9. Oh,
yeah.
That poor guy probably hates him. Poor Clinton Bonds.
And Clinton Bonds right now is ruining the day. He's like, I still want that shot back. Let's get it back.
Clinton Bonds wrapped his career at 1-11.
He what? Folks, you want to see the soup can? His name is Clinton Bonds.
Where's the Tapology warning for ineligibility that this was maybe record fixing or something? That would be pretty funny to see. But anyway,
right?
I digress. All right, UFC 326 is this weekend with all the chaos that is going on. We also get a huge
look at the
numbered
Clinton
event.
Bond dudes. Just now I'm going down the rabbit hole.
Oh, this is what you can do
look
on
at
Tapology.
That. So May 12th, 2006, this guy lost to Jack Hodge. He fought and lost 7 days later to Kim Wathen, and then fought the next month and won, and then lost the next month, took a couple months off, lost, took a couple months off, lost, took a couple months off, lost, took a couple months off, lost. Bro, I'm like, what commission is just like
Oklahoma,
bro,
baby.
yeah. He's
Oklahoma.
like, you just lost. You got knocked out last week. Okay, yeah, here you go. Or last
I think Oklahoma. It's funny. I lived in Oklahoma City for a year, and I lived in Tulsa for a year. 30 years ago. But I imagine they probably put on fights on tribal land there, the same way they do in California, so where the athletic commission doesn't have oversight.
Yep.
Over the.
That would make sense then. That would make sense.
Craziness. All right, UFC 326 is this weekend, a numbered event, not a pay-per-view. You'll get to see it. Obviously, we mentioned it is going to be simulcast for 2 hours on CBS, which that's pretty cool to see it on network television already, paying dividends with this deal. And so we would assume that would be Dante Johnson, Cody Brundage, Cody Garbrandt, Zhao Long, Gregory Rodriguez, and Bruno Ferreira, and Drew Dober versus Michael Johnson. I believe that would be the 4 fights would be the plan that should air. If so, smart work by the UFC. They know exactly what they're doing because all those look like they could be bangers. But it all leads to the BMF title between Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. I tell you what, man, I have enjoyed watching the countdowns. I watched the media day, obviously, yesterday. Just enjoyed it, man. Just it's this intense rivalries and bitter feuds like that sells fights, but I don't know that there's 2 more like beloved fighters who a carry themselves with dignity and class, B are just phenomenal representatives of the sport and just of human beings, but then also that 100% that when either one of these men steps in the cage, it's going to be exciting. Like there's zero chance whatsoever that you're like, well, it could get into a little bit of a stalemate. I can see their styles canceling each other out. No, hell no. This is going to be amazing. Yeah. So this is just a fun fight week, and it's cool, man. These are legit legends of the game going at it, man. And I'm excited about this. And the BMF title, I've said it before when it was first when it was first created, I was like, what are we doing? But now it's a fun, especially being in the hands of the people that it's been in the hands of. It's fun, you know what I mean? It's exciting and it's just something else, and I'm loving this fight, man.
Yeah, no, this fight is incredible. Yeah, I mean, neither one of these guys goes out there to, people always say in the past, sometimes fighters go in there and they just try not to lose.
Right.
These guys are going in there trying to win, trying to knock the guy out or trying to get a submission. You know what you're going to get with these two. I know some people have said about the BMF, they're like, why is it sort of just tied up in this division? It was supposed to be a one-off. Now it's kind of sitting. So now say if Max wins again, does that mean Max got to defend the BMF again? Or can they just can the BMF make a move to some other division? Can it be this exciting thing that doesn't have to be, because, we've said in the past, like if the BMF can help you get the title in that division, great, if it was a catapult for that point. But when it becomes something separate and now it's kind of living in this, the lightweight division, at what point, can you then give it to somebody else, like you don't want to have to make Max go up or do whatever. And maybe it will give some more excitement because I think people are getting a little fatigued of the BMF and that it's just the same sort of pool because everybody's just keeping around.
It's
That.
true.
I think if they gave it the potential of different weight classes, something to where maybe just interject it a little bit more. I don't even want to just say like energy because I mean I think this is a very electric fight, but they're just using it over and over and over as a stopgap for having a title, a real proper title on these numbered events. But and not that I don't mind this match, but it's a rematch of a fight that we've seen before. Granted, it was a long time ago, and I think it's
throw
going
it
to
out
be a
the
good
window.
fight.
Throw it out the window for that first result, obviously.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just the BMF. I don't know. It's just not as exciting as it used to be for me. Even though I love this matchup, it's not like I love the matchup because it's for the BMF title. I just love this matchup in general. But I don't know. I'm just a little tired of them kind of throwing it, but whatever. If it somehow made them get more money, then I'm all for it. If fighting for the BMF
title means you get champions pay,
then bring it on. Let them do whatever because you're making it act like it's a championship belt that's legitly tied to whatever. So I'm hoping they get something. If that's the case, then I'll be quiet and keep doing it over here. But it would just be interesting if they offered it up. I don't have a problem with there being simultaneous BMFs if that's the case. If you want to do whatever and you want to, okay, we're going to let one sort of be the lineage in this with Max and with he's got this lineal one, but maybe we put one out for the women and let the women go whatever. Or maybe have multiple ones or whatever. We're just going to do whatever. But then I can see where people are like, no, we're never going to get rid of it. But
I'm thinking like sounds silly, but like almost like an annual fight that maybe like fans select. I don't know, you know what I mean, or something.
Make it, yeah.
Or you have to do something statistically, like if you get like 3 knockouts in a row, you're eligible. I don't know, so you know what I mean, like something like
so
that.
So then you can aspire for it. You
right.
make it something where it's not like now. It's just it doesn't. I mean, it just lost its initial like, oh my goodness, you got 2 people or whatever. It's just now it's becoming this.
It's an interesting point because you're right. I'm just excited about the fight, but I really don't care who walks away with the title.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, even to the point where one thing going back to talking about just these are just great guys. Both guys. Charles came into the media day with his whole entire family, for the first time to have everybody out there. And I know he's happy about it. And, in the back of my head, I was like, when fighters do that, sometimes it's too much, and they usually win. So I changed my bet to Holloway.
Yeah?
I did have an Oliveira. So I changed to Holloway because that he brought his whole family out. As weird as that is. But I'm on a shitty start right now. Yeah, he's got a lot going on. And that's this kind of stuff that you feel like when it doesn't go their way, when people, not that I think he's going to walk away from the sport, but all the ingredients are there, should he lose or whatever. And sometimes when you just bring all that family, he's like, oh, I wanted my mom or whoever, his whole family. I'm like, oh, bro, you're really tempting the fates. But it's going to be fun between the two. But yeah, I mean, I'm just a little fatigued over how the BMF is just now. It's just a regular sort of thing. It doesn't have that pizzazz. But if you, like you said, interject something to where make it
brought out on a
for some reason, like if a threshold has been reached or something or blah blah blah, because then people can anticipate. Say it's like you said, 3 consecutive knockouts or whatever. People are going to anticipate after every fight when somebody's in the running to that point.
Right.
They're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to watch this fight because if he gets it, he triggers the BMF possibility or whatever. It's the same thing like NASCAR changed the way that they're scheduled. Not that anybody really watches NASCAR. But they have their own little series, and depending on how they do in the events, they get points that puts them in the running to be in the final like cup series or the run to go for the cup. So every event makes you want to watch to see if they accumulate. Whereas like PFL tried to do the same sort of thing with a point system. If you win and you got certain they had other issues besides that, but they were trying to give something to create you to watch the other particular ones.
Yep.
Usually in the UFC, just watching the particular fighters, the people that are tied to the BMF name have sort of A-side energy anywhere. People already want to watch it. But if you're trying to give the BMF a potential that anybody can, do it to where it's out and it's being bid for by everybody, then if everybody's sort of vying and creating these things, you create a wider base of potential excitement because once people start triggering these things and then you're building in people to want to watch the other shows instead of like, why am I going to watch this fight night? It's not a whatever. It's a meta show. It's a meta Apex. But if you're like, yo, you got that dude that's in the running for, potential BMF trigger.
trying to get them BMF
Oh
points.
well, shit. Let me log in or something.
There's guys. There should. I hear where you're coming from on it because like. All right, so obviously, like Masvidal Diaz, it made sense. You know what I mean? Heat, all that. And then when they came back and they're like, all right, well, that's gone, but we're gonna do Gaethje Holloway. Like nobody complained, right? Because like, all right,
not after what we got on that one. Like that was fun, and then it's got the most iconic finish of it all.
Gave us that moment, man. Unbelievable. So you went with Max?
I ended up going with Max.
So here I've been.
But
Max.
I started the week Oliveira.
It's so funny because I've been Max since this thing was announced.
Yeah.
But I just had this picture in my head that Charles is going to be able to scramble and catch him somewhere. You know what I mean? Like,
and he could. I mean, as much as everybody loves Max, to think that this is like you said, when you look at the passive and people are like, well, he beat him before.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally lifetime ago in terms of fighting.
You can't count that at all.
You can't count it at all. And Charles has been fighting incredible. And Charles has these moments that he just like, he shows up and you're just like, that's why the champ had a name. And his name was Charles Oliveira.
Charles.
I mean, dude, when he's on, he's on. But it's the same thing with Max. When Max is on and striking, and if he keeps his standing and doesn't let Charles get down and he makes this a striking battle, like it's hard to not think Max is going to win, But Charles has power. Charles has precision. But Max is tough as nails. I mean, hence look at the Gaethje fight. Doesn't get much more powerful than when Gaethje's throwing bombs and when he's throwing the kicks and everything. So the fact of what he was able to do, it's like,
to me, it's got to be a grappling, just a scramble or something. Because Charles is so good at like those exchange where like he can just grab something. So, but again, my official pick, Max Holloway. It's been my official pick.
Yeah.
But I just keep having this vision in the back of my head of like Charles like jumping onto his back in a scramble, or this the high pace, high movement. Max is moving and he just gets him off balance with a low kick and something like that. You know what I mean? It creates a scramble. He's not going to just like shoot in on him, but but I'm looking forward to it, man. I really. Did you watch any of the? I mean, you've been super busy. There's a lot going on this week. We got Zuffa Boxing going on. Power Slap is going on. I know you guys were got to speak with Wolverine at the media day.
That was interesting. They were like the day before. Hey, by the way, Wolverine's going to be there tomorrow. And we're just like, why?
It's so funny.
And at the very end, we're like, just bring him. You want to show up that belt or something?
That's funny because like I'm gonna.
That's going to be an interesting match, just in the terms of like those two, him and what's his name, the big Hawaiian, right? Isn't that who he's going up against?
Yeah, I guess.
That dude's scary. Yeah, you're like maybe. What the Wolverine? The Power Slap. The big Hawaiian, right?
No, that was before, right? Or is that the one he is?
Yeah, it's the crazy Hawaiian.
Is that
Power Slap 18, right?
Yeah. Is that? Why'd they put his name in it? Did they Viernes? Oh, I guess just Tapology does that. They call it Power Slap Bata versus Viernes. They don't. I guess Power Slap doesn't go with the nicknames.
Yeah.
Or Tapology.
But yeah, so Wolverine showed up, and we're just like, that's pretty cool that you got to come to this. I think it was Oscar. I was like, oh, so you've had some MMA or whatever history. You think that's why you're here at the MMA Media Day or something along? I forget how he phrased it.
It's funny because I'll be there on Friday night at Power Slap, and I those things are a party, man. They're actually a lot of fun. But
that's because you're drinking when you're there.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, but trying to cover it as a full on like media outlet, like that's a challenge.
And it used to be something when Dana would always do the post press conference, and so it made it worth it for people to show up. But this is. When you get there, and if there's no slap media, and you're just like,
I don't know what to
ask. I don't know who this
dude
is.
I don't know what's going on. That's too funny. That's too funny.
Yeah. Lane Viernes. Lane, the crazy Hawaiian Viernes?
So, I was going to ask you, I know you had a lot going on, but did you see, so you probably haven't, did you see the Embedded at all?
Mm-mm.
So, they showed Charles Oliveira, I think it was episode 1 because it was before he actually traveled here, and he was like doing a Q&A back in Brazil, and like this kid like went to ask him a question at the Q&A, and the kid like started crying, and Charles was like, come here, give him a big hug, and just like I'm just like, the dude is such a good human being, man. Just the way he impacts people, and thank you for your question and much love to you, and the game it was just cool.
That's cool.
It was a good scene.
That's
man.
cool.
That's a good kid. Co-main event, a big one as well. I was a little bit surprised to see what a big favorite Kyle Ohio is here against Reiner de Ridder.
So was I.
I was a little shocked to see the odds in this one. I guess I get it. I know RDR did not look particularly great last time. I thought it was great of him to address everything head on, acknowledge it, said he's changed. I've seen some side-by-side photos, body composition, all that, but he said, look, I got everything taken care of. I agree. I think Kyle should be the favorite, but I was just a little bit surprised to see how big of a favorite he really was.
Yeah.
Did you end up going with Kyle in this one?
I did, but I initially was leaning Rainier. And, I mean, even looking at Media Day, granted, you can never really tell what somebody looks like because we've seen people look good on Media Day, and then fight night, you're just like, what happened? He was in great spirits. I mean, he said he had it all locked in, and I didn't see anything on his face, that makes it think that he shouldn't be. But, man, yeah, I mean, just Ohio, I mean, when he's been on, man, it's just been so incredible. And I just thinking of how Rainer's last performance, and even if he is all the way there, I mean, if it gets to the ground, Rainier showed himself to be really, really talented, but Ohio was really good on the ground as well. But I just think if they keep it to the striking, I don't know, man. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it because I did lean, and maybe it's because I shouldn't have looked at the odds. Sometimes looking at the odds, it kind of, when you're on the fence, you're like, well, if it's a little bit of a favorite, maybe I'll lean that way. I mean, I certainly didn't feel like it swayed me to go to Ohio because I think it had the potential or whatever, but Rainier, still thinking about that last fight. And even if I haven't seen anything really since, so you're like, well, you have to look at that last performance, and it's hard to kind of get that off your head.
Right.
So I did lean Ohio, but honestly, we could go in there fight night, and Ohio could just fucking tire out himself, and then we're just like, here we are. We've seen both sides tire out at different weird times, and have not good performances, but he makes it seem like the team's kind of refocused, and their focus and their purpose is there again. So I have to think the Cow's going to show up and do his thing, but I wouldn't be surprised if RDR just makes the odds makers and everybody just be like, what? And then the next time it'll be the same thing. When I see him fight, I'm like, gosh, do I pick him or do I not? Because I pick him and he loses, and then I don't pick him and then he wins. I'm just like, what is going on here? This year's not going good for me so far. No? I think I'm at the bottom.
At the bottom?
I love it, though. I love it, though. I'm just like, I could just take this one off.
No pressure.
Just have it, folks. Just have it.
Don't need that tension.
Because somebody was already like, who was it? I think it was G, or somebody was like, because at the time he was at the top. He's like, how am I at the top and Farah and Kenny are at the bottom? And I think it was Erickson that wrote back. He's like, well, it is only like week 2 or week 3.
Well, it is weird because we're in March, but we really haven't had that many cards.
No, it hasn't had that too many. So the losses really add up quick, right. So, yeah, I think I'm like 6 behind the top guy or whatever. But it's so early on. But honestly, I was like, bro, I'll just take this. I'm just going to take this one.
Good.
I don't care at this one. I got the 2 in a row, and I got 4-time dog. I'm like, I'm fine.
That's it.
I'm fine. I could take this one off. I'm going to rest and recoup my brain for this season.
Until somebody wins 3.
We don't even have anybody else that has
that's what I'm saying. So you could just be like, well, until somebody wins 3, and then I feel like I got to get back in this thing and remind them who Papa is out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah, it's funny to think that now they're just like, they're already bragging about, being ahead of me. I was like, I've already done my work. If now they're like basing how they're doing on whether they're ahead of me. I'm like, bro, it happens every year. People get ahead of me, and I just somehow I'm able to pull it together by the end. But this year, I'm like, this is an exceptionally bad start. But again, I think it just feels like because we've had some upsets in the main events, and I think we've had some where the guys just haven't whatever. Like even last week, I picked Moreno. I certainly, even though how do you say it, Lonnie? Loney.
Yeah.
Incredible, man. That kid is amazing.
He's so good.
But did you see there was something about Moreno when he walked into the cage, and the way he was looking and the way he wouldn't look at the eye contact. Yeah. I literally was thinking he does not look right.
I kind of felt that way all week. I thought all week.
But I was like, man, he is just there's something else going on. But I don't want to take it away from Loney because Loney was so spot on, so precise, so badass. I think he would have beat just about anybody in the division that night.
He looked so amazing. Good. But it was funny because coming to that fight, I was telling anybody that asked me, I was like, look, man, you're gonna like watching this kid. Like this kid is fun because we've seen it, right? You're like, this is a future. I didn't think he was going to win the fight. I was like, this
Yep.
is going to be close. It's going to be good.
Yep.
Early on, it's going to be very competitive.
Yep.
But later on, Brandon's going to take over the altitude,
Yep.
the Mexico, the
And
championship
Brandon went out there
experience.
for a while. I heard he was out there like well in advance to get acclimated.
Wow.
I mean, he just didn't show up. But, I mean, the power showed up immediately, like the eye started wearing. And then I think it was by the end of the first round, they were like, look at the Brandon's leg already. I was like, holy cow,
Yeah,
man. Amazing. Kavanaugh, man, like, give it up to him and his team, man. That kid, if he wasn't on your radar before that, he should be on everybody's radar right now.
Unbelievable.
That dude's legit a prospect right
He's
there.
It's interesting to hear him talk too, because he's just
Yeah.
he's just dialed in.
Yeah.
Man. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like the trappings of it's
Yeah.
just no.
Yep.
I'm here for one purpose.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
To kill you
To kill.
all.
That's what it's like. This I am a trained killer,
Yeah.
and this is what I do. It's
Yep.
not. I'm not here to be a star. I'm not here to be Sean O'Malley. You know what I mean? Like no,
Yep.
I'm here to.
Yep.
I like that. And again, I'm not trying to say that as a criticism of Sean O'Malley. Like Sean's fun
No.
and a huge star, but like this dude is like, I'm just here to fight. I'm not
That's
here
it.
to build a brand.
That's it.
Or a presence. Or
That's it.
I like
And that's
it.
why, I mean, like, some fights like that, I mean, I think most of us chose, but I think if you can find those fights, like if we weren't maybe caught up with what we know Moreno could do, some of us probably could have picked those ones. And that's how you get these leads in like these long seasons where you're picking, is finding those ones. And that was probably one of the ones where I think most of us homered in the memory of what Brandon should have been doing and
Yep.
what he's capable of doing. It's in freaking Mexico of all places. So we're like, of course it's going to be Moreno.
Yep.
But so yeah, kudos to him on his fight. But yeah, he certainly helped me not rise the ranks this past week. I had a really bad week. I've had a bad couple of weeks. But as far as down there with me too, I mean, we picked pretty similar on
Right.
a lot of stuff. So I didn't feel as bad because I was like, Farr's always at like the top three.
Can't be
anyway.
on hot streaks all the time, man.
Can't be
Even the most seasoned,
Right.
gambling aces will say you go through cold streaks sometimes.
Yeah, this will
you
be
know?
the time when all the bettors are not paying attention to mine. Do not pay attention to mine. Check the MMA Junkie rankings. If you see me at the bottom, don't pay attention to my picks right now.
That's funny. The rest of me, Drew Dober, Michael Johnson, obviously that's gonna be a banger.
That's gonna be fun.
Rob Font, Raul Russell. Look, Raul Russell Jr. should be able to win this thing early, but if he does not, and this thing goes late, I would be a
Yep.
little bit concerned.
Yep. He
Because
better not tire out. Font
No.
doesn't get tired.
Font's not going to get tired. Font is not going to be able to stop the takedowns most likely
Yep.
early, and that's why I think Raul's such a big favorite. But
Yep.
if he doesn't get this
And
thing
he'll-
done early,
Yep, and he'll wear the damage if Rosas can make contact. We've seen people cut him up, but it's not like we really see Rosas doing a lot of damage on the feet. It's get them to the ground and then
Yep.
just submit them or whatever. But this is going to be a huge test for this kid. This is a big one.
really
I did
is.
pick him to win, but
it's a fight he should
Font-
win. But if he,
he
doesn't,
should. But if he doesn't, then he knows he's got some real decisions to make. Some real changes he needs to address the way, because Font, yeah, like we said, Font doesn't tire. It'll be if it's a war of attrition, I'm probably gonna lean in Font's direction because that dude's been in the wars. He's done the work.
it's like 17-year difference between them.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. But but even here, Rose is talking to me this week. The kid is sure of himself, but he's uber respectful, and I love that. Now it's kind of funny because you get that energy of a guy that was like the teenager, and now he's like, last time was a minivan. Now I loved it. He was like, maybe a Lamborghini
or something.
or a house. I was like, there you go. Think
house.
of the house, bro. Think of your family. But when he said Lamborghini, I was like, oh, here's that kid. Here's the kid that was like, I got money, so minivan was cool. But Lamborghini would be. I was like,
I thought that was great too. That he's like, I'm gonna go because he can go to the casino. It's like I'm gonna put it all in red. And somebody asked Michael Johnson about it. And he's like, keep the kid out of the casino, man. What are you doing?
His energy is just so fun because I feel like again another one that we're watching grow up in front of us.
Michael Johnson.
No, well, we
Raul
watched
Rosas.
him grow
Yeah,
up,
we
but
watched-
Rose is junior. We saw Michael Johnson grow up in front of us, but Rose is another one, man. Just seeing
maturing. He's
seeing
maturing.
the maturing and the energy of where he was when he first saw him to like now, and just really come into himself, and he's going to grow and change, and if he has a long career with the UFC, which you never know, because he kind of alluded to the fact of if he gets his money and gets his things, maybe he'll be done sooner than later. But
Don't buy the Lambo.
don't buy. First tip: buy the house. Don't buy the Lambo. You can't live in the Lambo, or be very crowded. Yeah,
Nice though.
if that's the kind of stuff. But I don't mind where his head's at. I mean, I think every fighter should probably think of potentially like, I'm not in here to try to just get myself beat up for the next 20 years. But if I can get my money and establish yourself, then find your life, do something else. You can have a career in other things.
That literally is where the thing that Joe Silva said that now people mock, where you say this is not a career, it's an opportunity. That's exactly what it means, that you can't do this forever.
Right.
So understand, it was never that you shouldn't make money. People have bastardized it.
Yes.
That's exactly what it meant, is understand your window is this big, it's small, maximize it, and make sure you're going to do things after this. You got to set yourself up for round two, because that's the hard part about retirement, is people don't realize, like, you're especially in this profession, your identity becomes that, right? Your fighting is not your profession, that's who you are. And then when you're not fighting anymore, you get kind of lost, It's like, and that's exactly where it all came from. So I don't hate the idea. I saw people like kind of mocking him for saying that, like, bro, if you can get in and get out at 25, you won.
No, I think it was another instance of him maturing, maybe in more so than some of the other guys. Most people never at that age or in that point in their career, especially with the UFC, now that everybody's looking at him, he's very popular, to start already thinking about like the next step. Kudos to him. He should be congratulated on the fact that he's already thinking about the next evolution of his life or whatever.
I'll tell you the other thing I liked about Raul's scrum. The last question was a Chinese reporter that was just like, can you say something to Chinese fans? And I think she was probably just looking for like, hello, fans in China or whatever. And instead he was like, I just want to tell him. Well, first of all, he did say that you can do whatever you want and you can attain whatever you want. And I was like, I don't know if you can, but I was like, all right. But so I don't think that's what she was looking for. But I thought the answer was great. He was talking about, man, you can chase after whatever you want. Like, I dreamed of being in the spot, and I remember there were times where I just wanted to be a normal child and eat potato chips and hang out. He's like, but I know I can't because I'm chasing after. But I did. It was kind of a cool. Like, I don't think that's. She got more than she asked for, but it was kind of cool where he was talking about the value of just being disciplined and dedicated and believing in yourself no matter what anybody says, and I thought that was kind of cool.
I forgot about the chip part because it's funny because like after it was done and he walked off in front and everybody just took their little pictures, I was like, so you can't eat no chips? And he's like, no. Because I forgot, because remember, it just stuck out, and it's so funny because obviously about the discipline, and yes, they're very strict, but it struck me like there's that kid, there's that little glimmer of the kid that you would hear when he told us about how he enjoyed eating the pizzas at lunch,
right?
The school pizzas, and I was just like, it was adorable in a sense where I was just like, fuck. So I was just like, can't eat no chips. He's like, nah. And I was just like, I love this kid.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Cody Garbrandt was great too, man.
Yeah.
He's obviously matured and he's in a place. I mean, obviously it's going against a tough character, Cody's been through a lot, but it just felt like he was in a good place. So a lot of good fights. I think this is going to be really entertaining. Make sure you show up early, folks, because the first fight of the night, Luke Fernandez, baby, former CFFC champ. He spent his entire career, the next-gen ranks, the pro ranks, going through undefeated in CFFC. Had that beautiful win on Dana White's Contender Series, got it done in seconds. And now he's making his UFC debut against a tough character. Obviously Bellato can come out there and bang, but Fernandez, really, really good hands. I'm sure if you've seen him compete on CFFC, he's got really, really crisp, powerful boxing, great wrestling base as well. Look, at light heavyweight division, everybody can crack at the UFC level, right? Everybody's got power, so he's gonna have to be careful out there. But I'm excited to see. Yeah,
look at that
the
Tapology
CFFC
picture.
champ.
He's got his Cage Fury belt over his shoulder.
Let's go.
That's good. No, it's gonna be a fun night. It's gonna be fun. I mean, T-Mobile nights, man, are always fun. I mean, it's going to be good. It'd be good to see some of the folks we haven't seen in a while. But, yeah, because I feel like it's been a minute since we've done one of these here.
Yeah.
I mean, like the UFC's been on the road for a little bit, so it's kind of fun to get back into action and stuff. And then we'll be back again next week.
Yep.
But, no, it's good. Something I will say, because I want to say shout out to Luke Hernandez, who hit me up on Patreon. Was
Not
like,
Luke Fernandez.
What's that?
Not Luke Fernandez, the fighter, but
no,
Luke Fernandez.
And he was like, hey, so what's up with the and a halves, and so I reminded him, I was like, you've been busy, you've been trying to, the CFFC's been running around, so we've been floating the idea of maybe trying to do something on Mondays, and maybe this next Monday I'll try to, and if you can join me, I know your schedule's running around, but I'll try to maybe just see if we can't revisit the and a halves, but maybe not on Sunday, because Sundays is tough, because even when you're traveling, or if I'm traveling, that's usually the transition back day. But maybe we'll figure out something for like Mondays, maybe if it comes out even later in the evening or something. I know it's close to these on Thursdays, but maybe we'll just do a short little hit, talk about maybe the sort of whatever.
I'm glad you said that. Appreciate everybody that's continued to support us at patreon.com/the MMA Road. So thank you very much for doing that. And yes, it's been a lot on my plate for sure over the past year, to be honest with you, kind of settling into my new role and moving the company forward. But we've been able to make a lot of progress. I've been able to make a lot of progress, and maybe getting back into a place where I can actually carve out a little bit of extra time and get back to those. Because I enjoy it, to be honest with you. I enjoy post-fight analysis sometimes as much as just pre-fight discussion and news topics and that sort of thing. And so I enjoy it. So thank you to everybody that's supported us, and Luke, thank you for that as well. And yeah, we're gonna try to make it a point.
Try to make something happen again. So yeah, I just want to make sure I said that before we got off here.
It is, yeah, and then that's where it gets, because like next week I'll actually be in Tampa. So everybody, big CFFC card next week down in Tampa over at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. We'll talk about that next week. But usually after those events, it's we just get done working late, and then it's kind of hard to go to sleep. And I usually take an early flight out. And so basically by the time the USC event is over, I haven't been asleep for like 48 hours, and I'm a little bit delirious at that point. So that becomes kind of the challenge. But we'll make something happen.
We'll make something happen.
Look, there's Zuffa boxing.
Josh
this
Hernandez.
Well. Josh Hernandez. Okay,
sorry.
See, it was the Luke Fernandez that threw you off. I was like, really? It was Luke
Fernandez?
Hernandez?
I was like, I'm saying this wrong. So
like,
I just had to double check.
Luke Hernandez, but I was like, all right.
Josh. Sorry, Josh. You have to excuse me. I got Hernandez right. I know. I was like, I got to go shower. We got to go to the press conference soon. So yeah, and I apologize. But yes, thank you, Josh, and thank you for everybody that's been such a long supporter over Patreon, and it's really fun. And again, that's one of the big things that we've said about that whole thing. If you wanna talk to us directly a lot, hop over to Patreon. We're always paying attention, so it means a lot.
All right, well, listen, I know you got to go. Like you said, you're heading on down to the MGM Grand Garden Arena, the old school MGM Grand Garden. Got a lot of good memories in that one.
Yeah.
Kind of think about the brawl every time you walk through the lobby, and we had some great fights over there. So I'll let you go do that. And for everybody else, thanks for listening.